As a cannabis patient myself and a registered caregiver, I want to share another side of care that we don't see very often. I'm also a private duty nurse in the field. I'd like to ask you to close your eyes for a moment. Now, I want you to imagine that you can't open them up without physical help from somebody else. I'd like to introduce to you my patient Kim, who's up on the board here with her young grandson. I lie here in my hospital bed, day after day, with 12 hours of nursing care, and then my husband comes home from work all day to take over for the nurse and her aide for the next 12 hours. His day starts at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it ends when he falls asleep in a lazy chair next to my bed late at night. Our makeshift bedroom now is our living room. I cannot move. I cannot speak. I'm locked in this contracted position, lying prone in my bed, and I need to be log rolled by 2 people in order for them to take care of my personal care. My arms are folded over my chest, my hands are clenched, as my teeth are as well. My world revolves between this bed and the easy chair in my living room, in my family room at this point. I can't wait until spring when I can go back outside on the deck with my specialized wheelchair and my aide and my nurse. I breathe with a ventilator. I need a pump to send formula to my stomach. I'm incontinent of stool, and I have a suprapubic catheter that drains urine from my body so everyone knows that my kidneys are working, and to protect my skin from breakdown due to the fact that I can't move. I have a condition known as multiple system atrophy, or MSA. It's sort of like ALS and Parkinson's on steroids. It's rare, it's incurable, and it's progressive. I'm locked in here with my thoughts. I'm terrified whenever a thunderstorm strikes or electricity goes out, waiting to hear that generator that my husband put in. Click on, and let me tell you, those first few moments when that happens is brutal for all of us. I can still express with my eyes, though, since the tremor stopped. I can smile, I can laugh, and ever so slightly I can still nod yes and no. My face seems to all still work. My eyebrows are now my greatest expressive feature. I can definitely still pull off the evil eye, but this is all I can do to communicate my needs and my comfort. I used to have an eye gaze computer, but it's getting too frustrating for me now. This was my communication program that I worked with my eyes. God, I was perfectly normal 5 years ago. I was an athlete, I was a hiker, I was a rabid Redskins fan. I loved riding with my husband on his motorcycle, holding him tight. I loved my camera. I loved the birds and the nature and my pictures. I miss running. I miss holding my husband and my precious grandchildren. I miss my photography, and most of all, I miss teaching. You see, I was a kindergarten teacher for 15 years. I wasn't even due to retire yet. I hope they're all well and happy. I still wonder if they think about me. It is so strange to be still when my mind never stops moving, ruminating, and always thinking. I can't imagine what I ever did to deserve this. But I'm here. I'm home. My caregivers and nurse are crazy, I'm sure you'll agree. They cheer over bowel movements, for God's sake. Passing gas, almost all of my body functions. They seem to compete at times, actually, making me laugh so hard that my vent alarm's high pressure, which again in itself sets off another cascade of laughter with everyone. We find it amazing we can push through this and laugh despite the cruelty of this disease. Laughter is my only real exercise that I can still do naturally. And that cannabis nurse, bless her heart. With my pain being intense and constant since becoming bedridden, we were curious as to what cannabis might offer. My husband's brother swore that cannabis is what calcified his glioblastoma brain cancer. That was 18 years ago. What did we have to lose? He's still in remission. Any doubt that we had disappeared within 3 days. All of us were amazed at the relief it gave in such a short amount of time. My pain was out of control. I was taking multiple doses of OxyContin, oxycodone, Percocet, baclofen, Neurontin, and Tylenol around the clock. And then, of course, the lorazepam for my constant companion of fear and anxiety. MSA also screws with your blood pressure, so I was having to take fludrocortisone and midodrine just to keep my blood pressure under control, besides the antidepressants the laxatives, the vitamins, and the supplements. So talk about polypharmacy. But thankfully, that was before cannabis. My narcotics and my Ativan have been cut in half. The Oxycontin has stopped. I no longer take PRN doses either. The Neurontin, Trazodone, and the daily laxative for the constipation is 2 to 3 times a month now instead of daily. My pain is almost non-existent. We get 0 levels on her every day. The only time she is ever in pain is when we change her trach out, and that's once every 3 months so far, and this has been going on for 2 years. So the nightmares of being buried alive are a distant memory now that no longer plague my mind. I no longer seem to need the midodrine to keep my blood pressure up, and this was a huge surprise to the cannabis nurse because she had learned that cannabis could lower your blood pressure. So this was a really neat thing that happened. I can still at times when we get a really good combination tincture open my eyes easily on my own, and my muscles relax for my OT person to get almost 34% extra extension in my arms and with my legs. The mind is eager, but the body is a shell, literally. But I'm here. I'm home. I've not been able to reach out and touch my husband for almost 3 years now. But the love and the devotion in his eyes every night when we're alone together tells me he still loves me. He worries. He handles so much. He tells me all that's on his heart and mind, even though I can't answer. I yearn to hold him like I used to, his head in my lap, my hand casually running down his brow like a child. He still kisses me, but on the forehead, more like a child. Touche, you big lug. I'm thankful that my nurses keep on him about taking care of himself too, because I don't know what I would ever do without him. Damn it, we were supposed to retire to our vacation home at the lake. I heard him talking to the kids about having to sell it to keep continuing my care to stay at home. The emotional roller coaster can be unbearable at times. I'm only 59. I'm not even retirement age yet. This is so unfair. But I'm here. I'm home. My children bring the grandchildren around often, and they consider what they see as normal. They're not afraid to kiss and cuddle, even as they navigate all the tubes all over the place to reach me. I listen to my daughters and my son talk about their lives, their hopes, their plans, their dreams, and their fears. My eyes can still relay that support, love, and joy, and even share in the sadness as we've had a miscarriage or two. When a child has problems and they need to talk it out with mom because they know mom is still here and mom still cares. My nurse practitioner was afraid of all this at first due to the federal prohibition, until she saw with her own 2 eyes the difference that it made in my life. After observation and testing, she can't get educated fast enough to help others in her practice. My cannabis nurse is thrilled that another nurse has seen the light. The cannabis helps with my range of motion and keeps my neck flexible enough that the physical therapist or respiratory therapist can still change my trach. Neck contraction with this disease is so severe that her neck is down into her chest very bad, and her trach is migrating towards the left. But as long as they can still do their job and replace that trach, I can stay here. I don't ever want to go back to a nursing home. I don't ever want to go back to a hospital. I'd rather be dead. The progression of my disease seems to have almost stopped since the cannabis started. So far, so good for almost 2 years. So this is my life, and for this, I'm grateful. For a loving family, gentle and loving caregivers, with their warped sense of humor as it is, grandbabies. I've had 4 new grandbabies since I came home 2 years ago, and I've gotten to see each one. I long for the warm sun on my face again on nice days outside. I love to hear the birds and the wonder of this simple plant. I am blessed to be alive and have this alternative cannabis to improve the quality of this life that I'm still blessed to live. I'm still here. I'm home. So now I invite you to open your eyes. You are here now. You can each make a difference in this world, even if it's one patient at a time like I do. Get a caregiver license or get a caregiver identification if you decide to help patients to stay legal. Make sure you have a patient identification if you're a patient yourself. Our seniors come to us from all walks of life with so many comorbid conditions and complicated stories, but this is what I do. I'm a cannabis nurse. Quality of life is what we make it. Bloom where you're planted, wherever you are. Thank you.